What's good, everybody on YouTube? It's your boy Akil McLeod back with another live video. And today, switching things up a little bit, gonna do another interview for you guys. Interviewing somebody that I definitely respect. I've been watching their channel for a while now. And as you guys know, I'm a new dad. So I'm trying to just reach out and just learn as much as I can from other dads out there and trying to, just kind of highlight fatherhood because I think for me growing up, I didn't get to see enough of that, and I didn't get to see even as an adult, I still don't see enough of that. So I definitely want to talk more about fatherhood, and who better to do that with than Dad Planet, Brendan from Dad Planet. So I'm gonna be having him come up here just in a few minutes. Just want to wait for a few of you all to hop in the live chat. And when you guys do jump in, make sure that you guys let me know where you're from. Let me know what city you're in. But I think it's gonna be really good moving forward. Just reaching out to other resellers, other entrepreneurs, other people that's in business, just so that we can kind of share our stories and just all learn from each other. Because I think we need to just do more of that. You know what I mean? I'm someone that listens to a ton of podcasts. I read a lot of books, but just want to share some of that information that I'm getting because I tend to, come up on a lot of solid information, some inspirational, some educational, some purely entertainment. And I think I'm gonna share, all of that with you guys just moving forward. We're gonna make some changes, some podcast type conversations, and just some nice little additions to the channel. So without further ado, let me add Brendan to the stream. Brendan, what's going on, brother?
How's it going? Thanks for
Very
having me.
good. Thank you for joining me. This
You
is
bet.
this is very good.
Yeah.
So, so how's your week been going? It's Friday. How's your week?
How was my week? My week was a little bit tamer than normal. So, I was able to get a little bit more sourcing done. And I mean, you now know, right? We're trying to navigate like around kids now all of a sudden.
Hmm.
You are. And so my entire existence is like working my schedule around everybody else's schedule, including children, school,
Right.
all that stuff. So, but this week, for whatever reason, it was like just easier for me to get out consistently because my 1 week for me can look totally different than the next. Like I'll get all the core tasks done,
Right.
but the time I get them done changes because
Right.
I have to be like really flexible. So it's just nice to be able to like get out every morning at a certain amount of time, get sourcing done. And it was like really nicely regimented where other weeks it's just like, man, I'm pulling my hair out of my head. Like these are problems that I asked for, but it
Right.
doesn't make it any easier. That's for sure. So it was a good, consistent week. Yeah. Feel good about it.
That's solid. That's solid. How has it changed? Because your daughters are a little older now, right? How old are your daughters?
I have two. So one just turned 11 in July, and the other one turned 4 in October. So 11 and 4. And it's complicated because I split my oldest with my ex-wife. So I only have her half the time.
Mm,
And I have my youngest full time, but having a 4-year-old is a handful in and
yeah.
of itself. But dealing with her disease, she has cystic fibrosis, and so that
Mm,
have to be like really, really hands-on with treatments and feeding and all of those things. So it's like, and I don't do it alone. Like I have my girlfriend here to help with that, and she does a tremendous amount of work with
mm.
with the youngest, but it could be a really rough schedule. It just is what it is. You just make it work.
I was just about to say you just gotta make it work because just like you said, it's the timing. I think the timing for me is the most difficult part. Like
Yeah.
getting adjusted to some days I work in the morning, some days I work at night, some days I work midday. And it's just like then some days I'm working and I just gotta drop everything.
That's right. And so tell me how old is your little one now?
4 months.
So okay, so for 4 months now, and you'll deal with this more and more, like it is really hard to constantly switch the gear back and forth and then back and forth, right?
Hmm.
So like go to work for a couple hours, come home, maybe you take your little one and you're dealing with that for 2 more hours, and then you hand it off, hand her. Did you have a little boy or a little
Little
girl?
girl, little
You had
girl.
a little girl. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
man.
So you hand her off. to your wife. And then for another 2 hours, then you got to switch it back into business mode. And then she's going to need help. You just constantly like switching back and forth and back and forth. And that is hard. People don't want to
nonstop.
hear that. You know what I mean? And it's like, hey, man, we're working for ourselves. Life is great. But that is super hard, especially when you get like older. It seems to get even
Mhm.
more challenging. Like, when am I going to fit this in? And then you're like, those 2 hours you had your daughter, you're
Mhm.
exhausted after that.
And you don't even
There's
want to
10
work
hours
anymore.
left in the day, right? And you
Right.
have a lot of stuff to get done. So real challenging. That's for
It's
sure.
it's it's super challenging.
Yeah.
How do you juggle like hobbies? Because that's something I'm trying to get into. I used to just go to the gym and just do my thing, and then I started boxing a little bit.
Hmm.
But I started boxing, and then as soon as Sage was born, I stopped. So I haven't even gone to the boxing gym in 4 months.
Yeah.
So it's like it's tough. How have you been handling it?
Well, I'm going to give you some real talk here and say that, like there aren't many hobbies that I'm getting myself into right now. So you had mentioned working out. When the coronavirus hit,
Hmm.
it's like we have this big scary thing that we don't know about yet. And then I have a daughter that has a lung disease, or she has a respiratory disease. And then now we have this like respiratory virus that is sounds big and scary,
Right.
when it was fresh and new. So one of the places I was like afraid to go back to was the gym, because people breathing heavy in there, and like it's was like just a place that I didn't want to go to, and then heaven forbid bring that virus back to
Right.
the household. Now we've everyone in my household has had it. We all recovered fine. It's including my youngest daughter. So it's all good, like fast forward.
Right.
But I got into the habit of A, not going, and then B, like, the farther away you move from going to the gym, like the less and less and less you want to actually do it. Like it's so,
That's a
I mean,
fact.
it's so hard to go back in. You're like, man, I used to be so strong and so big and I looked great. Now I don't. Now you never want to go back. You know what I mean? You ever get that? You get that feeling like,
Absolutely.
so the gym, even though now that it's all run its course through us, and like I'm a little bit more comfortable going back in, I'm still just not as consistent as I was. And so that was one of the hobbies that I kind of lost, like because I
Yeah.
was just scared to like get my household sick when we got it anyway. Other than that, I don't have that many. Like I like to read, and I like to learn new things. So, and I do a lot of that through my kids, right? So
Hmm.
my oldest is into like anime and
Yeah, the manga comics.
manga comics. So when they get excited about something, that gives me something to look forward to also. So trading cards, my oldest was into, and those types of things. But I got to be honest with you, like I don't really have that many hobbies right now, because every minute is like you got to be here to do this, you got to be here to do this. When my girlfriend goes to work, I don't we don't take my youngest to school or daycare yet, again, because it's just out of fear and germ spreading and all of those things. So
Hmm.
I'm when it's like when you see my videos and it's like dad first, business second, that's the real deal. I mean, I have her, 20 to 30 hours a week sometimes. And I want to be present. Like that's why it's Dad Planet, and that's why I do what I do, and I'm at where I'm at, I guess, professionally. But with that comes, you have to actually be present, and that
Right.
time takes away from business, right? So even though I'm like working X amount of hours a week, I'm also a full-time dad, 30 to 40 hours a week. And then my oldest comes, and I've got to dedicate time to her too. So it can, get real sticky, but these are problems I asked for. So, but yeah, I need a hobby. Like I definitely need some me time. I just don't know what that is outside of the gym.
Outside of the gym, and it's like kind of like you were saying earlier. Like I was boxing, I started getting good. Like my coach he was like pushing me. Because I told him I wanted to get at least a couple like little amateur bouts in. So he was training me like one of his fighters.
Yeah.
And then once Sage was born, I missed a week, and then I came back, and I'm telling him, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna lock back in. I'm gonna lock back in because my cardio was already shot after that first week.
Right.
I literally haven't gone back since.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm just now getting back to like going to the gym and lifting weights and like doing cardio and stuff like that. but like actually training again,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's over. I
It
don't know.
gets so easy to not go, and then next day not go, and then next day not go, and, like, trying to get and you're if you've stayed physically fit throughout your life, your muscle memory will catch up pretty quickly,
Right.
but it's just so especially when you wanna be at home, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I wanna sit here and hold this, like, bundle of joy all day long, and it's challenging, and it, presents, it makes can make things complicated with your schedules and all that stuff, but that's the part that is even probably harder, especially at this age, right? Because she's only going to be 4 months this month, then she'll be 5 months, and that time goes by so
Hmm.
quick. So it's like we're positioned really well for fatherhood through what we do, but I don't want to just be a dad. Like, I want to
Right.
do other things in the world, like,
Right.
get back out into the swing of things, really, like, meet new people, meet new friends, like, do things, because the entire globe's been locked down for 2 years, basically,
Yeah.
so it's like it's not just us. Like, I think a lot of people probably have that same problem. It's like, God, I've gotten so used to, like, not seeing my family, like, that's awful, like, or not going to
Hmm.
the movies or something like that. We have to reintegrate ourselves back into society with maybe a
Society.
little less fear that, this virus is gonna stick around forever, because it won't. But man, what a what a what an interesting couple of years it's been, that's for sure.
It's been tough. It's been tough. I think in the sense of, like you said, in the sense of what we do on a daily, in the sense of, being entrepreneurs, kind of having your own schedule, doing your own thing, it gives us the freedom to be more present and to be more involved. But it's also a trade-off because, yeah, you have your own schedule, yeah, you have your own time, but it's just like it's almost easier when your time is like kind of blocked off and almost like dictated to you, because then you know for a fact, okay, I have to do this. This is a non-negotiable. And as of today, I'm sitting in front of so much inventory that I'm just like, I need to get this listed, need to get this listed. But I know if Sage is crying, I'm gonna run in there.
Yep. And you said something interesting. It's easier when there's a schedule handed to you.
Hmm.
It is n and if you're like me, you're like you, there is no schedule. Like, you
No.
have to create it and adhere to it, and that takes a tremendous amount of discipline. So, if you don't have that, you have to learn to get to that, or else it can get ugly. I mean, I
Quick.
see a lot of people talk about, like, their death pile is just stacked up and stacked up and stacked up. And it's like, you gotta, your discipline really definitely has to trump your motivation. You should have a little bit of both, but like,
Hmm.
just for me too, like, my motivation needs to out over or my discipline needs to overstep my motivation, or nothing will get done. I mean, even my, like, office floor back here right now is kind of a mess, but
Mm.
so I leave it this way because it looks gross, and I'll eventually get to it. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that's just something that works for me. But it's that's why most people go to jobs,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's easier, and they do better being told, given a schedule. But I created my channel, and I'm sure you do the same, to, like, show people another way. Like, you don't have to stay doing that. You can do what we do. There's, like, plenty to go around. But
Absolutely.
but you have to learn how. If you're not a disciplined person, you have to learn it, and you can learn it, but there's a learning curve. And if you, especially if you've got kids running around the house, like, be ready for any and every distraction. Like, someone, I think my littlest was just knocking on the door, so I'm like, ready for bust in here any minute. Like, Dad, can I play
Right.
some games? Dad, can I sit down? Can I
Right.
walk? What you're doing? So,
I think I think it's just one of those things where I know I'm getting better with time. Like as time is progressing, like from month one to month four, I'm in a much better headspace and I'm much more consistent with everything across the board. Like I'm doing better. But initially, like that's why I wasn't posting any videos. Like I wasn't like my mindset wasn't even there. Like I literally took a full 2 months off. And the
mhm.
goal was really to take 1 month off, but it just kept building up. And now it's like, all right, I'm a little more comfortable, but
Yeah,
it's tough. The funny
yeah.
thing is, I'm about to say, the funny thing is, I even took a job Did you catch that video that
I
I
didn't see
posted?
that. No.
So let me tell you, I could talk about it now, but it's like at the time it was like embarrassing. So it's like I had this big goal to to knock out my student loan debt in a year,
Ah, I saw that.
right?
I meant to watch that video and I haven't clicked on it yet. Okay, take me through it.
hmm
Yep,
So
I
with
did see
that
that.
goal, I'm like, all right, how can I do this the best way? So I took a full-time job in education, and I was a academic advisor, but I was remote. So I'm thinking this is perfect. Like
That sounds great.
I should be able to, still be able to do my thing. I should still be able to source on my lunch break. I should still be able to get so much done. I think because so much people are remote now, working from home, a lot of these companies, they're like trying to be even more I don't even remember the word, like not helicopter parents, but just more micromanaging.
Mhm.
So they had us training on Zoom, and we had to keep the camera on, and they're like watching our every move, and I'm just like, there's no way I can stick with this
Mhm.
and do this, and after 5 o'clock is done, I'm drained because I'm trying to, you know
Yeah.
do the thing. I'm trying to keep the conversation going and be like a good coworker, and I'm just like, I don't got time for this. I was out.
I don't think most companies are micromanaging like that. Like, no, who has the time to sit there and watch your every move on Zoom? Like, you wouldn't do that in the office. I mean, I know
Right,
okay, you're there, but like, no one's looking over your shoulder like that in the office. And if they are,
right.
that's probably the wrong person to work for. But so that sounds ridiculous. And I hopefully like you were like, okay, well, this isn't going to work and moved on from it. But it's weird because it's a buyer's, not a buyer's market. It's like an an employee
Employee.
market. I mean, there should be, like, if you were ever to go and get a job or try to get a better job, if you felt like reselling wasn't going to work, or in your position was like, how fast could I get the student loan debt paid off? Like, and I think about that all the time. Like, what if I took this job or this position and got coverage for my kids when I needed it, and then,
hmm
continued to do the reselling? Like, I'd have a bajillion dollars in my pocket. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
I think about that all the time. I think a lot of us do, especially like when you're having bad months in your reselling business. You're like, ah, man, I
Right,
better get the classifieds out and, like,
right.
look at the job market. But if you were ever to get one, now is the time, because and it's funny, like, people leave in jobs in droves, right? But
hmm
you don't really quit a terrible job. You're quitting terrible people, right? It's
Mm.
the people managing those positions,
hmm
which is like the company you just explained. We're like, we're going to watch your every move on Zoom. Yeah, no, you guys, good luck with that in this market. You know what I mean? Good
Well,
luck with that. Let's see how that
I
works out
was
for you.
gone in the first, because it's supposed to be a 3 week training. The first week was in person, and the 2 weeks was on Zoom.
Hmm.
The first week I did good. He was in person. I felt good because I was wearing suits again, because I haven't actually got dressed for work in
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good. I'm in traffic. The week that I was home doing the training on Zoom, that week was a struggle. And I'm just like, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to do this. That Monday came around. I felt that anxiety for like Sunday night, like, oh damn, I gotta get on the computer again. I gotta lock in.
Hmm.
By Tuesday at like 4 o'clock, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this no more. And I told them that like at 5 o'clock, like, yeah, this is my last day. Cause like I don't need to pay my student loans off. I want to pay my student loans off in a year.
Right.
And
Right.
once I realized that, I was like, I'm out. This is unnecessary stress. I haven't stressed over work,
Right.
like a real stress, in years.
Yeah,
So
I mean, you're probably at a point in your loans where, like, the monthly payment is manageable. Like, you're not stressed out to get
right,
that thing paid off, like, to, cut on a monthly basis.
exactly.
That's definitely not the case. You should read. So every now and then I'll go into Reddit. Do you go on Reddit? Do you
Sometimes.
give it a shot? Like, I think there's an app on my phone. So just get the Reddit app and go into the anti-work subreddit, and you'll see
Mm,
stories like yours all the time. They're actually like way more worst case scenarios. Like, you know, uh, the guy was watching me on Zoom, and I got up to pick up a pencil I dropped, and he jumped in on my thing and said, where were you? Where'd you go? What'd you do? That kind of stuff. And
What?
then the employee is like, yeah, I quit. I'm out. See you later. And it's like stories of
That's
like just
crazy.
terrible bosses and terrible people. It's a funny subreddit. It's really funny, in a sad kind of way, but
Mm-hmm.
in the end, it's like most of these people quitting these awful jobs, but it's just like, if you've got an amazing team around you, like reasonable people, like fun people, almost any job can be fun. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Almost any job. So people are quitting because their management is terrible,
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's tough.
but yeah, this would be the market to really get out and look if that's
If that's
something that you needed.
yeah. I switched gears. I'm gonna take a break and I'm gonna just enjoy this time now while Sage is still small, and just take it easy.
Do
But
you did right. You presage, you knew in your head, like you probably already had this thought out at some point. Like, I'm going to be able to manage and see. So for me, like
hmm
I'm not could I dedicate 30 years to corporate America? Sure. But would I get to see like these kids at this age, you know what I mean? Like
right,
I don't want to miss any of their childhoods. And
right,
and I feel like a lot of fathers lose that opportunity because maybe they want to be the breadwinner, or they're just out,
hmm
working a ton, and they have to make that sacrifice, which is extremely noble. But to me, these years that we're in with these kids is way too valuable. It's way
hmm
too valuable than any like 401k I could start building, or
right,
ladder climbing that I could do at my job. Like, I have no ego in that regard. So,
right.
I'm going to tell all those jobs to go climb a tree, unless I become desperate and, I
Right.
need it. Like, I'm not above going back to work and getting a job like that. For me, I think it makes more sense to build and grow an audience and try to help them, because I do believe that there's enough to go around in the reselling world and all of those things. So, but
Absolutely.
you knew, you had this mapped out in your head even before kids. Like, there's going to come a time where like I'm going to have kids and I'm going to have the opportunity to take Sage from my wife so that she can go take a nap. I'm going to put that
hmm
kid in the stroller. We're going to walk down the street in this beautiful weather, and you're going to soak in those moments, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You just can't, as a man and as a father, you can't do that if you're at a job like that during this time. And
Talk
when they get
about it.
older and up and they're out in school, whatever, I'll call UPS. What do I
Right.
know? I don't know where I'll be in 15 years. I'll do anything. I'll do something,
Right.
but for now, you knew this was coming and planned appropriately for just these types of moments. So
Yeah.
it's
I
just
I
amazing.
tried. I
Amazing.
tried the best I could.
Yeah.
Let's answer some questions here. We got a question from Yvette. I have a question for the both of you. What other resellers impresses you by his/her work ethics? This is a good question. I never
Work
even
ethic.
got this
Their
question
work
before
ethic.
from nobody, because I don't really watch too many resellers. So I'll let you tackle that one first if you want.
I'm gonna have to think about that because I only have so many hours in the day.
hmm
So when I'm knowing, as a YouTube content creator, if I watch somebody, like, I want to watch their entire video from start
Right.
to finish for
Right.
obvious algorithm
Helping
reasons.
them
So,
out. Yeah.
I help my buddy out. Yeah, I might not comment, and they might not know I'm doing that, but I'm trying to do that to help them. So I can only watch so many, and I watch a lot of them for entertainment purposes too. So
hmm
work like eBay work ethic. Oh man, I gotta think about this. I really like Troy, who goes by Mountain Man Treasure. And I like him because he's a very kind individual, but
Mm.
working at a radio station in the mornings.
Okay.
He's in an area where it's not very easy to source. I think that's in the state of Montana where he's at. And so he's dealing with the same things that we're dealing with: parenthood, trying to pay off loans. He's working a job at a radio station. He has an amazing voice. You hear him, like, listen to him. He's got a great voice. Um, and then is out reselling and then putting out a ton of YouTube content. That
Mm.
takes a lot of work. So
Absolutely.
he's got a great work ethic because he's got a full-time store that he's trying to run. And then he's also dealing with all the other stuff plus a job that we are trying to deal with. So I have a lot of respect for that.
And who is this? You said Mountain Man Treasure?
Mountain Man Treasure, yeah. His name is Troy. He's just a kind individual. So I really like watching him. All the YouTubers have to have a pretty decent work ethic, because I don't think viewers realize how much time goes into creating content and then editing and rendering videos. That takes
Mm-hmm.
a tremendous amount of time. And if you're like me, I'm basically doing it for free. 'Cause I don't make any money on YouTube. My audience is small.
Right.
So, but I fully believe in myself and my skill set, my ability to grow my audience. It's just some grow faster than others and
Right.
whatever. I don't get as much social currency as some of the other ones do, and that's okay.
Right.
But I really like Troy. I mean, you can't go wrong with most of them, though. I think Kat, the nurse flipper,
Okay.
I've never spoken to her. I've spoken to Troy, but I've never spoken to Kat. That's a busy woman too, creating
Mm.
all the content that she creates, and she's always got like a kid or two running around like behind her. It's like, woman, I feel you. I know what you're going through.
Right.
She's like trying to record video and kids in the background, and is doing a really good eBay business. So that's
Mm.
another thing too. It's like, how much eBay are you doing if you're doing all this YouTube? So I kind of
Right.
like, but she's a big time seller too. So I like
That's what's up.
Kat. I like listening to Kat, and I like Troy. I think those are two pretty good choices. But I mean,
That's solid.
I can't tell you any that I don't really like. I mean, I like watching all of them. Like, and whether I'm learning from them or not, um, I like their content for different reasons. So
Mm.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Trying to think
I
because
forgot to mention one more. I'm
oh, go
sorry.
ahead. Yeah.
I got to throw. Do you know who Tesla Picker is?
Yeah, I've watched his stuff.
You guys are like, I'm like I'm like a college dropout with a college degree. You and him, he's running his eBay business, big time education. I think his wife is the same, big time, like highly educated, like really, really smart. And then there's me, like I got a BA in communication at the Ohio State University when they were handing out diplomas, back in the day, like all you had to do was have a pulse. So I'm like, I'm dumb. So
You got to give
I'm gonna
yourself some
throw
more credit.
Justin Picker in there too, who is like really, really good at what he does too. So let's call it those three.
All right. I was gonna use him too, so I'm gonna switch it up now.
Yeah.
If I can think of some people that impress me work ethic wise, I gotta go with my boy Derek, ATL Flipper, because I actually know him. And I remember when he first wanted to get on YouTube and he was asking me questions on how to just grow his channel and just like put out content. Like he was truly trying to figure out stuff from the ground level, and
Mhm.
just seeing the improvements, like every video, every thumbnail, everything is improved. I gotta give him credit. And now he's doing stuff with his wife. And I think one good thing that he's doing that I know I'm not, he's involving his family,
Mhm.
but it's entertaining, but it's not too much like where it's like cringy, like, oh, I'm just trying to show my kids. Like he's doing it in a tasteful, entertaining way. So I rock with Derek for that. And daily refinement. In terms of work ethic, this guy he's like a robot. He's like a machine. And it's like watching his stuff, it
Yeah,
does give me a little bit of anxiety because I'm one of those people. I'm super competitive. And when I start watching other people's stuff, I want to jump on and do my thing too.
I hear you.
Watching him, I'm like, you know what? He's got a team. He's got some people that's working for him. So our situation is just different. But his
100%.
work ethic, impeccable. Gotta give him
I
some
mean,
credit.
they just had a kid too.
Hmm.
Um, that model is challenging. If you can't do it if you don't want employees. You know what I
Right.
mean? So if you want to run it solo, that doing those numbers, I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I think he's going to like the outlets. He's getting a lot of mall brands and
Hmm.
bottom dollar pricing with
Mm-hmm.
very good systems. Like even if you look at, even when you're selling a $7 pair of jeans, the measurements, the details in the listings, that takes a lot of time. But
Mm-hmm.
he has really, really good systems put in place. And when you've been doing it for a while, you get into, a good routine,
Right.
and you just start killing it. So you're right. Don't compare yourself to that, because it's really sort of a slightly different business model. Like, I don't want any employees if I don't have to. Now, if I'm
Right.
going to grow, though, I'm going to get to a point where I can't keep throwing shoes in a box, all day and doing shipping. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you're gonna have to outsource some of that stuff. And I could ask my girlfriend. I could key people in if I wanted to. I
Right.
want to know if I can do, if I could get to a consistent $20,000 a month and handle all of it on my own. Like, can I do that? Like, that would be a personal long time goal for me. I did 100, and again, my margins are huge because I don't spend a ton in my business. My biggest problem is I just don't spend enough. So
Mm.
coronavirus year, I did 150,000 gross on eBay. Last year, I did 130,000 gross. But in
You said
2021,
you don't spend enough, as in you don't spend
I don't
enough
spend
money
enough.
on inventory?
Correct. My cost of
Okay.
goods for that $150,000 that I did in gross sales, I only spent 12,000 that year on cost of goods. That's all I spent. That's
Bro,
$1,000 a month.
what?
Think about that. And I know, because your prices are way higher than mine where
What?
you are.
That's
That's
amazing.
cost of goods. So it's like my numbers might not be that impressive. Like, that's $12,000 a month in gross, but I only spent $1,000 a month to get there. So my margins are huge. And
Insane. Yeah.
that like that's the most important thing in your business. Like, I didn't find a $6,000 item on an auction, but I spent, 3,000 to get it. That's still an amazing return if you spent
Yeah.
3 grand and you sold it for 6.
Right.
But I'm a margin player. You know what I mean? So I'm still netting a good portion of what my overall sales are, because I don't spend a ton. And
Right.
I run everything really, really thin, like my supplies and all that stuff. So um,
No, that's
I have
amazing.
to, like,
Wow.
lean on that, because if you watch Osborne to Thrift, if you watch Tim Osborne, like, you'll quit. You're going to quit. The guy, do you know who I'm talking about?
No, no.
He did, he had a 3-month period where he did $100,000 in gross revenue.
For in
And
those 3 months or each month?
in just this I haven't watched him in a while, but in a 3-month period, he hit $100,000 in gross sales, and he has
Wow.
no employees. It's just him
Wow.
going to like 3 thrift stores, doing a couple online auctions.
Where does he live?
I
This is
think I want to
amazing.
say it's Idaho or Utah, or I don't know. It's somewhere.
Might be Utah. Utah got money.
Right. I mean, like, there's no. I mean, there's the competition might be a little bit less, but you still have to get your ASS out there and do the
And do the
sourcing.
work.
So you got to
Hmm.
give him credit. But yeah, if I was comparing me to him, like, I would quit, because
Yeah.
those are unbelievable numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable. So yeah, I'm like, I gotta latch on to what I know is unique about me, and that's
Hmm.
margins are massive. They're
Yeah.
massive.
That's
So,
amazing.
and
The
I
com-
only work 20 to 25 hours on my eBay store. So even though I'm doing like reselling full time, or I say that,
Mhm.
I'm really not. I'm doing part-time hours, and
Mm.
I track very, very closely every minute I spend on my eBay store,
Wow.
because I've never really I don't want to work 40 to 50 hours on my eBay store. I want to be fluid in the event, a disaster strikes. You know what I mean? I need to
Mm.
know that, like, I've got time to do other things. So yeah, I mean, that's what I like about me.
Bro, that mindset is something I need to tap into. That because I'm starting to scale back in the amount of hours I work,
Yep.
but that mindset of trying to, I guess, do more with less. I'm one of those people. I grind. Like I felt like I've been growing super hard for the past. I've been with my wife, married 2, been with her for 7. We was having a conversation a couple days ago. I've been going hard for like the past 6 years,
Mhm.
like trying to figure things out, like grinding, staying up way too long, putting in 12-hour, 14-hour days. And to hear somebody say, like, yeah, I just, 25 hours a week. I'm like, 25 hours a week. That is, and doing those types of numbers, that's impressive. Very impressive.
It can be done. And I'm in another thing too. It's like the area that I'm in now.
Hmm.
I have access to auctions, like to source online like everybody else does.
Right.
But this area sucks to source in. I mean, I
Mm.
have to get so. Another thing too that should help motivate you and whoever else is watching. A lot of my stuff is bread and butter. When I do my what's sold on eBay videos,
Hmm.
I only pick 15 things that I sold for the week. So I do 4 of those a month. Like I don't do what I sold every day. I mean, there's just not enough, I think, interesting items. I mean, maybe I
Right.
could, I would have to ask my audience what they want.
Right.
But so I pick like the 15 like big hitters, but there were 35 other items that week that really paid the bills. You know what I mean? Like this
Hmm.
generic shirt, a bread and butter this, a bread and butter that. And so I source so much of that stuff in an area that where my biggest competitor is Goodwill. Like you walk into most of the Goodwills here,
Where
and
are
they
you
have
again? And I know you're in Cali, but you're in
Columbus, Ohio.
Ohio. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So if you just do like shop Goodwill and you look at like what they pull in the area, like you can kind of find out what is being donated but not going into the stores. But it's like it's dry here, like and everybody's reselling. Like I just put a bins video out, like just some stuff that I sourced at the bins.
Hmm.
And the intro, like that minute intro to that video, there must be 100 people at the
Wow.
bins, right? I mean, it's hard to find good stuff here. But if I can do it, and I'm still doing those numbers, and I have every
Hmm.
intention of growing them, and I will hit them, you or whoever else in a area that might not be as competitive or is a little bit more fruitful in the stores, you'll
Hmm.
make it. You'll totally make it.
Hmm.
So yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
sourcing here is rough. This is rough in
So,
Columbus.
so you said your biggest competitor is Goodwill. So are you doing most of your sourcing from thrifts, or are you doing most of them from auctions and like online sites?
80% is thrift stores, and 79.9% of those thrift stores is Goodwill.
Okay.
And then maybe 20% is the Goodwill outlet or the bins. I'm going to try to do auctions more, because there's some local auction houses here that, there's items like I just bought a lot today. I won it last night for $10 and it had $300 worth of electronics, and I've tested them all and listed. Everything works.
That's good.
So that's another opportunity that I could pursue in the spirit of Tim Osborne to Thrift, who like just kills the electronics team. It's overwhelming. Um, so
I
I'm
gotta
gonna,
check this stuff out. I gotta write that down
I'm
because
telling you, you will. Don't you're not trying to be like him when you grow up right now. Trust me when I tell you that. You get frustrated. But he's amazing, and kudos to him, hat off to him, because he's killing it. And again, he's a new father also right now, so might be somebody that you want to try to reach out to. But I lost my train of thought. What the hell was I talking about?
I just pulled up his channel.
Yeah, you got to watch it. You got to watch that for sure. But anyway, I forgot what the hell I was rambling about.
It's all good. We got a question here from Jay. He said, so I went to Goodwill. I grabbed 12 pairs of sneakers, got home and realized 3 pairs are mismatched in size. The left shoe on all 3 are 10 and the right is 10. It's 11. Is there a market for these? I see people do that.
Is there a market for mismatched shoes?
Yeah.
Is it the same style? Because the answer is yes, there is.
Hmm.
It'll sell slower, but you can also just sell the single shoe. And I sell single shoes all the time. I go to the bins, right? And you're like forever looking for the pair.
Right.
Like, okay, I found this great shoe. Where's the other one? But if it's like a hot shoe or a good brand, I will take the single one home and just list it and wait till it sells. In fact, a couple of days ago, and this is a tip for you folks that get single shoes that decide that you're going to list them, because people are like missing a leg, like, or in a cast and only want to wear one shoe, or can only wear one shoe.
Right.
if somebody orders it and you have very clearly put left shoe only or right shoe only in the listing and all that stuff, the minute that thing is ordered, print your label
Mm-hmm.
because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people don't read and they're like, oh,
Wow.
I thought this was 2 shoes. So get that thing printed or you're going to have a lot of,
And
you
get it
could run
shipped
into
out.
a lot of people going, oh my God, I missed that and I need to return it. And it'll just save you a headache at the end of the day. But mismatched shoes, if it's the same style, yeah, there's a lot of people who, whether their left or their right foot is bigger than the other one, whether that's true or not, I
Right.
don't know, but they believe it is.
It
So
might just be
they'll order.
comfort wise too.
Yeah, yeah, and right. So they'll order a 10 and an 11. So yes, there is a market for mismatched, and there is a market for single shoes only.
I've seen people do I search for certain brands on eBay. Like I have certain brands saved because like I'm a fan of the brand. So like certain stuff will pop up and it'll literally say left shoe only, right shoe only, amputee,
Yep,
um another in sometimes just says mismatch, just so that people know like left side size 10, right side size 11. So it's like, yeah, I think you just got to be super specific with the keywords and make sure the description is right. And keywords like, amputee and stuff like that is really good.
yep,
Disabled, something like that.
and just put it everywhere. Like put it in your title, put it in the like item, like
The
the
specifics.
item specifics. If you
Hmm.
if you have the ability to do that, and then in your description, just put it everywhere to make it like less likely that somebody orders it in error. And you'll sell mismatched shoes, yes, but you're going to sit on them just a little bit longer than you otherwise would if it was the same size, both pairs or both shoes.
Right. So in terms of, because I know you were talking earlier, margins are crazy. What's like a turnaround time for you? Like since you price yourself higher, do you typically have to wait a little longer for the right buyer, or are you moving stuff relatively quick?
I have so I've got my goal for Jan to end January with 1,250 listings. I have 1160 something right now, so I've got some work to do, especially selling through for the next 2 weeks as well.
Hmm.
Um, but what I like, so my goal is to get to 1,250, and then subsequent months I want to get to like 1,300 and 1,400. And yes, the margins are good, but I don't price every single item like at the top of the market, right?
Okay.
I'm like, I want to be non-competitive price wise with half of my listings. So I
Mm.
don't mind being the highest priced or at the highest for at least half of those listings. But for 25% of them, I'm kind of in the middle, right? I'm like middle priced. And then for 25% of the rest of my listings, I am the most aggressively priced
Mm.
because I
It's
don't
nice
want to sit
balance.
on stuff for like my basement is only so big, right? My storage unit is only so big, and I've got room to grow how I want to grow, but I am going to be a little bit more aggressive price wise. Like I've even thought maybe for certain things I should offer free shipping because what I noticed in Q4 was the fact that I charge shipping to my customers.
Hmm.
eBay was suppressing my listings in the search results,
Wow.
even if I was the like one of the aggressively priced, you know what I mean? Or like I had the best price for this item or this keyword,
Mm.
I was still getting buried and crushed in search.
Wow.
So, and I'm talking listing impressions down 25, 30%. In fact, I had the only day I didn't have a single sale in 2021 was in the heart of Q4. It was like December 20th or so, like
Wow.
the busiest day
That's
in
crazy.
internet retail. I had no sales that day. I mean, I was just getting destroyed in search. So to
Yeah.
mitigate that, because there's really nothing that I can do, I'm going to toy with free shipping in certain instances, but it's like trying to teach an old dog a new trick. Like it's so hard for me to like, how do I price then? Like, do I raise my price? Because the shipping costs me about 15% of my sales, my gross.
Right.
So do I raise my prices 15% and then make everything free shipping? Like I know the minute I shut free shipping on, everybody from California is going to order everything from me. You know what I mean?
That's
None of the,
typically how it goes.
you know, so,
I
so
think
I'm,
that one thing in terms of like shipping,
yeah,
I struggle with the free shipping. When I first started, everything was free shipping. It didn't matter what it was because I just watching other resellers, they said free shipping worked. So I did it. And then I realized I was getting crushed in terms of like paying for shipping so much
right.
because it's almost like I didn't realize some people would charge $29.99 free shipping, and then I would do like $26.99 free shipping just so I can kind of beat them out.
Hmm.
But you keep doing that, and if the item isn't in a padded bag or something, and you got to put it in something heavier, you're getting crushed every time. So
Right.
at this point, I don't even try to pick up items that sell for less than $20.
Hmm.
And if it does sell for $20, it has to be something like a video game that I know it's going media mail, or
Right.
something super light where it's 4 ounces. But even if it's first class, it could still be $6 and some change, if it's
Yeah.
a pound. So I just try to really monitor what I pick up because especially now I don't have that much time to list, and whatever I'm packing up, I got to
Yeah.
make sure the profit's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so stubborn to just stick with like what I've done because it's always worked, even though that's exactly what I'm doing. Like, I'm not opposed to free shipping. I just, again, I don't want to get burned, and it's like that makes me insecure. How do I
Hmm.
price this item? What do I do here? And when you're looking at data on your phone, it's just a number. It's simple math. It's not that difficult to figure it out, but it's the way I started. It's what I've always done. But noticing what happened to me this fourth quarter, like I did 13,000 in sales in December, in December of 2020, but I just barely cleared 10,000 in 2021 for December, with like 200 more listings than I think I had
Wow.
the year before. And I was like, this just in my product mix stays it's the same diversity of items every month, and I do that specifically to avoid the big ebb and flow or peak and
Hmm.
valley, like to avoid the big valley. So looking at my, like, doing just 10.5, I think I did, or 10.1, 10.5,
Hmm.
10,100 for December, I couldn't figure out what the problem was. It was clear though once I started putting in my keyword, right? But like, why like, there's like three people that have this item. Like, why
Right.
am I the lot? I'm the best priced. Why am I the lowest? You know what I mean? Or why am I getting buried in search? And the only thing that I could come up with is they just boosted all the free shippers.
Free
Like,
ship, free return.
yeah, right. Free ship, free return. So maybe I need to adjust in that regard. I don't, like, your objective is to sell through whatever you've got. And
Right.
I mean, I'm still selling through like around 50 to 55% of my items in 90 days. So half my
That's
inventory
good.
sells in the 90-day period, and that's okay. But for my long tail stuff, like, I don't want it to sit for 2 years anymore. Like,
Right.
I want to get it moving and flowing, because that drop in sales is like, that's terrible.
So what's your product mix now? Like what are some of like your favorite categories?
I still sell The biggest category that I still sell in is shoes, and I
Okay.
don't have any plans to change that. I'm gonna amp up my shoe game, especially, like, I have access to two outlets. There's an outlet that's a Goodwill outlet that's like 30 minutes from me, and then there's one that's just in over an hour. So I've got those two things at my disposal, which should get me even more shoes, because again, the stores they're just not producing. But
Yeah.
so I want to increase my shoe sales big time, but I want to take advantage of the electronics category. Everybody knows video games, like, that's so obvious, but
Right.
I think the opportunity still exists in electronics, because eBay is very clear that's their number one category. And I think the video game subcategory is the one that carries that for the most part. But
Hmm.
there's an opportunity in electronics. I'm not selling enough in that category.
Hmm.
So I want to grow. I probably maybe 5 to 10% electronics. And then it's like it's like 10, 5 to 10% in a bunch of other categories.
Mm.
Clothing is something that I want to increase. Like I dogged clothing for years.
You want to increase clothing?
I want to increase my clothing because I sell
Okay.
so little of it. And it's like I'm finding these pieces like very selectively, but my clothing is selling faster than
Mm.
I expected it to. So maybe there's an in a very diluted category, generally speaking, I think
Hmm.
there's an opportunity for me to do more clothing. So I want to increase that. And when I say increase, not by much, but I mean, I'm not going to be pulling Old Navy. Like
Right, right.
we're not doing Chris Lynn, but,
Right.
but, so there's an opportunity for me there, but the two biggest I would love to double my shoe sales, and that's just double the amount of shoe inventory I have. I mean,
Mm.
it all sells eventually, and then increase my electronics game. I don't know if you have experienced this, but I'm getting tired of parting out like the vacuums and like I just bought one from the bins that didn't work, so I had to I mean, it worked, but I got home and broke it. So
Oh
I had
man.
to take the bag off. I'm so tired of doing that stuff too. Like I want this thing to like function correctly from the start, like get it done. So I'm going to do a little bit less of parting things out, even though there's clearly money. It just, again, it takes a little bit longer, right, to sell those 6 pieces cumulatively
Right.
than it otherwise would if you just, put the thing up and sold it and moved on. So I'm going to do a
I
little bit
don't
less of that.
I don't do the vacuums anymore. I remember when I was on your channel, we was talking about Dysons and
It was great
Hoovers and all of that. There was a time for that.
till it wasn't. Yeah.
It was a time for that. Now, and I
Mhm.
still see the same Dyson vacuums all the time. I just don't have the time nor the desire to clean a vacuum and bring in something dusty and dirty. Like I really didn't care. Like
Yep.
sometimes I would see those and I would just $100 bill grabbing that.
Yep.
Now I'm like, I'll pass. I'll
Yeah.
pass on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like money is not money, and everyone's like,
Right.
money, I'll sell whatever makes money. No, I won't.
No, I
I'm not
definitely
doing that
won't.
anymore.
Definitely
I
won't.
know I'm sitting on $80 in parts right there, and I know the price tag says $3.99, but I don't want to spend. And you have to think about that too. Like, I don't want to spend all day testing things. Like, I got to move quick. You have
Gotta
to
get
move
it in and
quick
out.
now. You have to be. Your efficiency has to grow even more than you thought you were before you had your daughter.
Hmm.
So part of that is deciding what you're gonna eliminate, and I think that's smart. Like eliminate parting things out, at least hard enough. Like just popping new batteries in, or cleaning out a corroded battery compartment. Like even if that
Right.
takes me 10 minutes, like I don't want to do that for an item a day. Like
Right.
I don't have the time or the patience for that. So no, money isn't money. No, I won't sell anything that makes $1. I really won't.
And the thing is, that's a luxury to even get to that mindset too. Because when I first started out, I was very much so in the I'll sell anything as long as it makes money. But once you build up a nice little nest egg and you're not, I like to tell people, once you're no longer hustling to pay the bills or hustling to pay the rent, you start to see clearer. And then you realize, okay,
Yeah.
how much time am I going to spend on this? How much energy am I going to put into this? How much space is this taking up? How much is this going to cost me to actually ship it when the time comes to ship it out? Like, how much time is it going to take me to bubble wrap it and all of that? Once you start factoring all of those things, for me, I changed almost my whole sourcing method changed up once I thought more of that.
If you are like talking to the audience, like if you're on the come up, right, and you're
Hmm.
not at that level, it is perfectly acceptable to do those things like grab that vacuum thing, part it out, and maximize your return on the money that you spent, especially if you're trying to get to a level. But you also will get to a point where you kind of can pick and choose some of the things that you want to sell, like, and
Right.
or that you don't want to sell. I think not having the financial pressure to do that makes a difference. It's funny. If like I was thinking that I saw this thing on, maybe it was Reddit. It was like, the question was, what should everybody experience in life, at least at some point in their life? And one of the responses was financial security. You know what I mean? Like we may or may not be financially secure doing what we do at this point in time, but we're at least secure enough that we can kind of make those decisions about what it is we want to have
Mm-hmm.
to sell. And, it's smart too. Like, you may have passed up that Dyson that's got $125 in part out value, but the time you saved, you just sourced better and sourced items that were easier to list. Like, I just listed 6 items, right? In the time that it
Mm-hmm.
would have taken me to like clean that thing and part it out and test it and all that stuff. I got $300, $400 worth of stuff that took me 35 minutes to list just by simply passing that up
Mm-hmm.
and going with the other items in the store. It's
Can't
that
beat
easy.
that.
But
Can't beat that.
you can do that when you're a little bit more secure in your business. So, get to that point.
Right. Got a question from Jim. I'd watch a vintage T-shirt Dad Planet video any day of the week. Is there a high bid online auction site for Ohio? I source from that a good bit in Indiana.
So, Jim, I just recently, and when I say just recently, I'm talking like 2 weeks at the most, have started to explore high bid. And what I've noticed is there are a couple like Ohio sellers. I can't speak for Indiana. Indiana isn't somewhere I would drive, and I haven't explored like items that I could potentially ship. But yeah,
Mm,
I've have found a few in Ohio that are decent. Well, they have. It's hard to know what the product mix is, but there were 3 or 4 that I noticed that were Ohio based, and that's kind of what led me to the electronics lot that I found. So I've seen a few of them. It's not going to be like Florida where there's like a million to choose from, but if you're willing to either have stuff shipped or come to Ohio to like do a pickup, then there are a couple. I off the top of my head, I can't remember because it's brand new. The one Boyd is the one that I think I bought the electronics lot from. I can't remember exactly. I think it's Boyd or Boyd's. But there are a couple in Ohio. So yeah, look into it for sure. But I am brand new to high bid, um, auction zip, all of that stuff. So, and I'm talking so new that I put in a bid last night for a book and it got denied because they hadn't like added the dollar to my bank account. You know, you give them your new credit card number and they verify
yeah,
the dollar. Like,
right.
so I sent them a message and I was like, did my bid just get denied? Or like, he was like, oh yeah, we haven't verified you yet. Good Lord. That's how new I am though. So,
You're
you have to
you
do,
still ahead of me. You still way ahead of me. I'm literally writing this down as we speak. High
do it.
bid, auction zip. Never heard of either one of those platforms.
HIBID. Um, and then auction zip obviously is auction zip. And that there are probably more. There are some that won't be listed there that you'll find in your local area, but it's worth looking into, especially when your time is, you know what I mean? Your time is
Yeah,
tight. So, and but it's real easy for everyone to sit at their keyboard and not be out. So you have to deal with that too. Like the auctions, it could be more competitive because it's just right. Everybody has access to their computer at home or whatever, but
right.
you'll find deals. I mean, I found one. I found one that I was happy with. I'm super pissed I didn't get that book though. That was like $150 book with
Yeah.
great sell through, but
What's the name of the book?
it was a book called um the business like Too Much Horror Business, I think, and it was written by
Hmm.
the guitarist from Metallica. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So Kirk Hammett, I believe, is the author of the book, and it sold for like $12. And it's a
Wow.
$150 book.
Too much
So
horror for business.
it was too much horror business. I don't know, something like that. Just look up horror business Kirk Hammett, and the comps will come up. So yeah, I was bummed
Yeah,
about that.
$120.
Did you find it?
Literally just Googled it.
It
Two
sold for
hundred and
12
twenty
bucks.
bucks.
Yeah, it sold for
Wow,
$12. So
that's amazing.
I
Well, there
missed out
goes a
on
nice little bolo for you guys to make sure you check the book section for that.
it.
Never heard
Absolutely.
of that one. So you said high bid auction zip. I'm trying to give everybody some game here.
High bid auction zip. I'm trying to think if there's any more. Let me look on my computer and see if something comes up. Auction.
Because I know about like liquidations and blue lots and what's the other one that liquidation.com, blue lot.
You
Home
can look.
Depot and Walmart have their like liquidation thing.
Mhm.
I think I literally found it just typing in Home Depot liquidations, and there's a bunch of them that pop up. But
I don't know. I don't do a whole lot of liquidation. I bought a lot of like bulk lots when I was selling on Amazon, but that I outgrew that
mm,
when I started moving into private label and all that. Which is how I got started. Like I was selling. We talked about
mhm,
this the last time. Got into the paper plate business and used all the money. So I didn't tell this story. I had a group, a Facebook group of Amazon sellers that were like huge shoe buyers and resellers. So we would go onto Amazon and look for like all those price drops on like Crocs or whatever. And then
right.
I would post the affiliate link in my group, and I'd have these huge buyers buy like 100 pairs, right?
Oh,
And so I was a part of the Amazon Associates program, and I think one December I made $9,000.
oh,
That was my cut. That's how much I sold to these buyers in this group, who were amazing. But Amazon created a rule that said you couldn't like post these links for commercial purposes, right?
mm,
They just wanted a bunch of like influencers, like, hey, there's this cute dress, by the, and we'll pay you a
right.
percentage. But because I was doing so much volume, they eventually shut my Amazon Associates account down. But I
Wow.
used all that money that I made doing that to fund the private label paper plate stuff. So, and I mean, so there's like a couple of stores that buy this stuff from me, and the rest of it just sits and collects dust. And I'm not pursuing that anymore, but especially because Amazon sold out all of their United States sellers to Chinese sellers. You know what I mean? So they went
Wow, I didn't
direct
know
to
that.
all of our right? They were like, shut you down. And they're like, give us all your manufacturing info, give us all your documentation. Okay, well, what did I do?
Right.
They went and took all that and went right to those people and said, we want you to create something similar. And then Amazon themselves, or the manufacturer, or they courted the manufacturer to just sell on Amazon FBA. So it was one or two, and it wiped out like a vast majority of US sellers like me. And I mean, I could still probably go in and compete, but to hell with that, man. That's why I hate it. That's why when you hear me say I can't stand Amazon, I can't stand Amazon. I hate it. Like, I didn't order anything. I never order from Amazon, and I'm still alive. Like all of you
Right.
go to the store. There's a store. Just go to the store. Stop ordering from that nonsense company. But
So what year was this when they did that?
I started doing it in 2015. I think the private label was ready like at the end of 2000, maybe the beginning of 2017. I don't remember exactly when like the first one landed here in the US, like my first shipment, but for about a good year and a half to 2 years. And it's a learning curve because you're selling your own product. So you've got to like play with like sponsored advertisements and their whole
Mm-hmm.
like that whole program to get views. And
Mm-hmm.
it was good for a while, but I got suspended like on the retail arbitrage side, and that like took forever to get sorted out. And it was just
Mm,
way too much to deal with. And I'm talking, I was spending a lot of money on products to keep the dollars flowing so that I could
right.
continue to give these huge chunks of money to these Chinese manufacturers who were wonderful to work with, but Amazon sold me out, and that was
That's
that.
so crazy.
Yeah.
And it makes sense as to why now you don't want to spend too much money on inventory because you've been doing it for
Oh
so
my
long on Amazon.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm committed to spending more, but really, like, I should be spending way more than $1,000 a month on
Yeah.
eBay. You know what I
If you
mean?
did,
If it's
you probably make
working,
way more too.
well, scale it. I mean, just scale it. Now, am I going to find that next $1,000? Say I double it to 2,000. Like, I'm not just going to go out into a thrift store and find 6 pairs of Hokas.
Right.
Like you're going to have to. So you're going to have to like buy maybe a little like the second tier items a little bit more rather than
Mm-hmm.
like that hot, you absolutely know it's going to sell item.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to do a little bit more of that, but it's really just a numbers game. I mean, if I spent an extra $1,000 a month, my sales would go up. So that is what I'm doing. That's like how I'm going to grow to January's 1,250 listing. That's how I'm going to get there and get it to like a rolling 1,500 listings. Because if I had 1,500 consistently, I know I'm going to be selling 300 items a month.
Right.
I know exactly what like my average sales price is for like 5 months straight. My average sales price has either been 45 or 46, like on a monthly basis. Like when you go into the sales reports and you
Yeah.
look at it, it's super consistent. So I got really solid data to make these decisions. I just always have that in the back of my mind, like maybe you shouldn't be spending that much. Like what if? So that's what I fight with all the time. Like you just spend more, but then I'm afraid to spend more, but then I'm afraid to.
I mean, you don't got to double up completely. You could, instead of 1,000, you could do 12 and see how that works, you
Yep.
know?
That's exactly because I want to grow. I mean, I don't want to keep going down. I want to grow. And then of course I want to show my audience all of these things are possible, right? So
Right.
following along like on this journey that I'm on, like you can see that it clearly works. Like if you just adhere to these like mini goal, and I in the last video that I put out is like New Year's resolutions, forget all that. Throw all that nonsense out. Stop that. Because for most people, like come January, like you're in the gym, right?
Right.
They're selling those memberships, but then February comes
And the gym
and
is
we don't
empty
go
again.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So break it down into like, I'm going to break my resolutions, if you will, down into like monthly chunks. So I'm not even thinking about February and that forward, with the exception of YouTube. Like I have a certain amount of goals that I want to hit throughout the year coming up here. But
Okay.
for eBay, 1,250 listings. Get to 1,250 the minute you hit February 1st. See if you can do it. And then if you do it, increase it even more in February and just keep going that route. Like you got it to 1,200, you can get it to 1,600. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
So 1 month at a time is how I'm going to handle my goals. And
Make the big goal, break it down, small chunks, tackle it that way. I like
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
like that. What are the YouTube goals?
So my YouTube goals are not numbers driven. Like it's
Hmm.
my YouTube goals are to be more entertaining, right? Like I was so heavy in like I'm going back and look at all my old stuff. I'm like, bro, you're boring. You are boring. Like smile, like inject a little bit more of your actual personality in you. Because I was so um like committed to making sure that everything that rolled off my tongue was a legitimate like thing to help. Like none of that's going to change. Like, but I was so focused on getting it right for the audience. It was the educating part that I was doing well, but
Mm-hmm.
the entertaining part was stupid. Like that, you're just
Mm.
boring, man. Like, like
Right.
be like who you are. Like when the cameras are off and you're like laughing with your kids, or like you guys are like, it's a comedy show.
Right.
So do more of that in your videos. So for me, my goals for YouTube are just be a little bit more entertaining, like because that clearly works for at least other people in our
Right.
like if you watch Josh Harry Tornado,
Mm-hmm.
he's he's such a likable character. He's always smiling, he talks fast, his edits are quick. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to be him, but you have that in you, so
Right.
interject that more into your content. So that's it. It's just be more entertaining, like put some more of the funny stuff that happens throughout the course of the day, like in your videos, and then don't skimp on the educational portion of it because
That's what they're there for.
it's right. That's why why I started I mean, again, and I always say this too. Outside of the obvious, hopeful, monetary like gain that comes from that, you know what I mean? Like I've got
Right.
kids. These kids have to go to college. Like I'm taking care of all these things, and so along with that, just continue to focus on the why, but just be funnier. You know what I mean? Like just be a little bit more entertaining. And everyone's their worst critic, but like watch my old stuff, I'm like, dude, this is terrible. Like I should delete this. This is so bad. There's people listening, writing down the bolos and taking notes and all that stuff. I'm like,
Right.
man, no wonder you're growing slow. This is boring.
I think it's interesting. You said your YouTube goal isn't like numbers driven, because
Nope.
through this conversation, you're a data guy. Like I can tell you're
Yeah.
heavy analytics. So it's dope that you're not like trying to grow to the point where it's like numbers focused, but more so like inject more personality and entertainment, because that would be like the effect of you injecting more personality will make
Hmm.
your channel grow more.
I think
You know what
so.
I mean? So
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you ask my kids, like it's at here, it's Dad Tubi. Like when my video comes on, like it's Dad Tubi, and I'm always like, "Hey, you guys want to sit down and watch Dad Tubi?" And they're like, "No, no, I don't watch any of that." But we play hard when the cameras are off. You guys are
right,
stuck to me in real life, but you don't want to watch
right.
Dad Tubi. Okay, well, sounds like I gotta fix a few things.
Got some work to do. Got some work to do.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, this was great. This was really good. I
Yeah.
appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Thanks for having me. I had fun as
yeah,
always.
no doubt, man. Any last words before we pack it up? Anything you want to let people know where they can find you on the internets?
So Dad Planet on YouTube, that's where you can find me. Dadplanetofficial at gmail.com if you have questions. I am not to the point where I can't answer everything that comes my way, so I'm pretty active in the comments and all that stuff. But last words is, where are we at now? We're in the middle of January. If you haven't started, just start, go sell stuff around your house. you know we have the opportunity for resellers is growing. Like it's only going to get bigger. So get yourself a slice of that. Like we give out lots of information on YouTube in hopes that it will inspire people to go and like do these things. But don't wait. Don't wait. Like get out and go into a thrift store. Don't worry about being intimidated. We all get intimidated. I still get intimidated when I go into certain situations and there's things I don't know, or you know what I mean? Like it just, oh, there's so many people here. This is like all these shiny lights. But just start. And then, you'll figure it out along the way. We all did,
Right.
that's it. That's all I got.
I love that. Just start.
Just
That's
start.
something I was gonna say too. So I ain't even going. I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna
Start
go
late.
with it.
Start
I
late.
love
It's
it.
just better than not doing it at all. You know what I
Right.
mean? Go and get yourself to a point where you can leave a job you don't like. Like that's the biggest thing too, especially you fellas out there that are like hustling and trying to take care of a family or planning to have a family. You There are other ways. Like there are other ways to succeed and make it work. So I'm like really hoping to, and I'm not trying to alienate our wonderful female audiences, but men, go out there and do it too. Like you see there's a lot of female YouTube content creators in the reselling business. Get some more men in here. Let's get some more men, especially dads. Like go and do it, man. Go get started and change your life.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Awesome.
Peace.
Thank you. Good seeing you.